Good evening and welcome to Tennessee Volunteers live on the Voice of College Football Network. Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley with you on this Monday evening. Hope all of you are doing well. If you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. We are live every Monday at 8 Eastern Time. Helps us out a lot, helps you get close to all the great Tennessee football content that you enjoy. Again, hope all of you had a fun weekend. I know it was not exactly great for Tennessee on the basketball front. Vols kind of took one on the chin here in Nashville, 75-62. It's been a little bit of a grim 3 games for them in that stretch, so hopefully they can get it turned around here soon. But otherwise, not too bad of a weekend. I know it was kind of cold and gray here in Nashville. I know the Titans won. That's at least something that makes me feel a little bit happy. But no, there was some news that I got today that made me feel just very, very happy. Like the happiest I've been probably since, I don't know, maybe Tennessee beat Alabama in 2022. I think you guys know what I'm referring to. Tim Banks is no longer the defensive coordinator of the Tennessee Volunteers. Jordan, your initial reaction. Yeah, that's your initial reaction, as it is mine. But just your initial thoughts on Tim Banks no longer being no longer being the defensive coordinator of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, Tucker, I'm absolutely ecstatic right now. I didn't know Christmas would be coming this early. I don't know. I'm just really excited because, we've been talking about Josh Heupel. I mean, he's done a lot of great things at Tennessee, but one of our few complaints has been that he's been too nice of a guy. Well, it looks like he's finally got the memo this time that it's either stop being as nice of a guy or potentially lose your job. So I feel like this was a big move by Josh Heupel to help Tennessee for the future and to potentially save his job.
Yeah, we weren't necessarily sure if we were going to see this last week when we had Ryan Sylvia on. We were talking about it. It's like, yeah, it could happen, but there's not really any signs that are indicating it could happen. I think the only real indication that we had that something could happen was, I think it was Josh and Swain, or it was either Josh and Swain or, yeah, I think it was Josh and Swain on the Sports Animal who were talking with Chris Lowe, and he said he expected staff changes, but didn't mention which staff changes in particular. And of course, said staff change was Tim Banks. He is no longer the defensive coordinator at Tennessee, and I think you got to the point where you're in year 5 of a regime at Tennessee, and you're trying to figure out how to be great, but it's clear that there is something standing in the way of your potential greatness, and that is this defense. And this is something else I mentioned last week when we had Ryan on to talk a little bit about the defenses and how Tim Banks got this defense better over the previous 2 seasons before this one. And I think a lot of that did have to do with playing inferior offenses to some degree. Like you look at all the offenses they beat in 2024. I mean, what's the best one? Maybe Vanderbilt or Alabama from that season. Like Kentucky was not good. Mississippi State was on a backup quarterback. Oklahoma's the worst I've ever seen it offensively. NC State was dreadful. Trying to think. There was at least one other. Yeah, Florida was playing 2 quarterbacks at the time. So, no, you weren't beating any good offenses that year. You look at the 2023 season where they were improved, but who did they play? They played Virginia, who was not good offensively. You played an atrocious offensive line in South Carolina. You played a severely underperforming offense in Texas A&M that season. For the most part, did okay against Alabama until you had that surge in the second half. Kentucky was not great offensively that season, and they went for 400-plus yards of offense on you in that game. Devin Leary had far and away his best outing of the season. He had like 370 pass yards in that game. And then the only other team they beat in SEC play that year was Vanderbilt, who was not good offensively. So you have essentially just been making a living out of beating up on bad offenses for most of your career here if you're Tim Banks. And look, it's nothing against Tim personally. I just think this is a business decision. And Right now I liken Tim Banks to Derek Mason just without the head coaching jobs, whereas like he's had some success as a defensive play caller, but overall it just varies year to year with him. And it's one of those situations where it's like he's a nice guy, but you just know he's not cut out for the job long term.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been too wishy-washy. I mean, 2024 Tennessee's defense was top 10 in the country, but I mean, this season, I mean, Tennessee struggled to make the top 100 in almost every defensive category outside of sacks and like tackles for loss, which is seemingly the only thing Tennessee's really been able to get accomplished on defense this season, or at least in, the late towards the later stretch, it started to change up a little bit. We started seeing the defense play a little better, and then they underperformed again against Vanderbilt. I mean, it's just been kind of tiring just watching Tennessee just give up so many yards in a single game. Like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mississippi State game and Kentucky, which you can argue were two of Tennessee's biggest wins this whole entire season, I think Tennessee gave up 34 points to both of them. So
Yeah.
even though Tennessee's winning these games, they're still giving up a ton of points. And it's because of the defense. And I think the defense is the biggest thing that held Tennessee back this year, along with injuries. And yes, injuries contributed to it. But even then, I mean, not to this extent where Tennessee's giving up, what is it here? Almost 400 yards per game, 395.5. I mean, it's just not a pretty look giving up that many yards. And then like even against significantly inferior opponents like UAB giving up a whole bunch of passing yards in that game too. It's like if Tennessee could just have a C plus defense or a B minus defense, I think the final schedule could or the final record could have been different this season. But no, the defense has been holding Tennessee back, and hopefully with Tim Banks being gone, maybe the defense can have a little bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point about the defense just with the injuries. Yes, you lose two of your best corners for the season. It's going to look drastically different. I salute Ty Redmond for going in there and playing as hard as he did this season as a true freshman, fairly under-recruited kid. Being thrown into that situation is pretty tough. And I think he handled it well, but it's hard when your third game in, you're going against Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas and Colby Young, that stout wide receiver core at Georgia. And it's hard to assess defense under Josh Heupel too, just when the offense is humming along, because they're going to go up tempo, so your defense is going to have to be out there a little bit more in all likelihood. But I mean, still, you look at this year's team, and you keep seeing some of the same problems that were showing up in those first two seasons. It's as if the offense is not scoring every single time it's out there, this defense is getting in trouble. And I think some of that blame does have to rest on the defense after a while. Like, there's no reason why on 3rd and 15 or 16, the Red Sea should part over the middle of the field. There are no linebackers or safeties within 20 yards of the quarterback, and he's just got all this free running room down the field. Like, the safety play, and keep in mind, Tim Banks was the one coaching the safeties, was one of the biggest issues for this team this season. I don't think Farouk and Turrentine are bad necessarily, but they've been in the system longer than, say, Ty Redmond at corner. They should understand what they need to do a little bit more than a guy like that who is green in the system, or at least a little bit more green in the system. And then, of course, you're the whole thing with slow linebackers, man. Jeremiah Thielander and Ben Bolton just being a little too slow to the ball at times compared to some of these younger guys like Perlotti and Edwin Spillman. Of course, Arion Carter you can throw in that mix as well, even though he's a veteran. But just the constant collapse on the second level of that defense, I think, just got frustrating after a while. And this is a decision that Josh Heupel had to make. I guess I should probably read you his statement here that he released earlier today. I want to thank Tim for everything he has done for Tennessee these last 5 seasons. He helped restore our program to national prominence. More importantly, Tim is a man of great character and someone I have the utmost respect for. We wish Tim all the best moving forward. These are tough decisions, but one I felt was ultimately necessary for the future of our program. We are fully committed to identifying our next defensive coordinator. who will uphold that tradition, or excuse me, will uphold that standard that Tennessee has historically been known for. So, with that in mind, Josh Heupel is going to find a new defensive coordinator. William Inge is the defensive coordinator for the bowl game. And it doesn't seem like Josh Heupel is going to promote Inge to be the permanent defensive coordinator, which I kind of like. At this point, you don't really need a guy who is just all about running his offense to go and meddle with the happenings on the defensive end. So I would appreciate it if Heupel were to go and get someone outside of the family. I do think you have some good pieces on that defensive staff, particularly Inge and Garner, but you need somebody that can be a head coach for your defense.
Yeah, and I was seeing online here that apparently Pete Nakos reported that there could be a potential candidate in Ryan Walters. I don't know much about him, but he's apparently Washington's defensive coordinator, and there's talks that he could come to Tennessee. But I mean, that's just initial rumors right now. We don't know if there's any meetings or anything between the coaching staff.
So that's the name that is most popular right now on the internet. Not just him, but there's all kinds of different people suggesting it. I've been told that if Walters was to come here, he would have a say in who gets to coach defense. I would hope that means he would keep Inge and Garner around, just knowing what they've been able to do on the defensive end. Because the thing with Garner is we know that he's had an eye for talent, has had an eye for talent everywhere he's been. But you look at the way the linebacker room has progressed in the Heupel era, from the time William Inge took the head coach, or excuse me, the linebacker job in 2024 to now, you look at how recruiting has gone in. And I know Carter and Spillman were committed already, but they were both in-state guys. You kind of figured that would be the case. But now you're bringing in 4 stars left and right, guys like Perlotti. I know Jaden Harmon's another one in that mix. Christian Gass, I guess, is another name that we hadn't seen much of this year, but he is committed in that 2025 class, just hadn't played as much this season. And then you look at the 4 stars in this upcoming class with Braden Rouse and TJ White. I think you have to keep him around just in order to help sustain the staff. But Jordan, to give you a little bit of a refresher on who Ryan Walters is, you know him as the Washington defensive coordinator. He was the head coach at Purdue between Barry Odom and Jeff Brom. Pretty abysmal. I think they went 1-11 his first year. They might have won 2 games his second year, but they fired him after, I think, less than 2 seasons on the job. It did not go well for him at Purdue. But that said, he's a good defensive coordinator. He helped Brett Bielema out a lot at Illinois, getting that defense in shape in 2022, which is what got him that Purdue job. And we'll come back to Brett Bielema later on in the show. But, this is the guy that has proven that he can do it in places where the defense was not great to begin with. And I think the talent is there with this Tennessee team, at least at linebacker and on the defensive line. Now, you're going to need to portal a little bit on the defensive line, and you're going to need to portal in the secondary. But if you can bring in a guy sooner rather than later and move quickly on this decision, which it sounds like Tennessee will do, then I would hope that would better your odds at getting guys out of the portal, particularly in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would just be nice to just have a fresh face out there at defensive coordinator, whether it's Walters or not. Like, it'd be exciting to see a new coach and see what they can bring to Tennessee. And, like in Walters' case, you don't always have to be a great head coach or even a good one to be a good defensive coordinator. I mean, we saw what Jeremy Pruitt did with Alabama and then how he ended up being as Tennessee's head coach. And I saw a meme earlier today where people were trying to argue that we should get Jeremy Pruitt back as defensive coordinator. I don't know about all.
Honestly, why not? He's a good defensive coordinator, just a terrible head coach. And you know who else is one of those that I keep seeing floated around? And I don't think there's any real smoke to him coming to Tennessee, but Will Muschamp is another name,
Oh, that would be electric.
Not a good head coach at all. by any stretch of the imagination, one of the best defensive minds in the 21st century, and a guy that could be a disciplinarian for this staff. And this staff needs a few more tough guys on it that can give your players the tough love when they need it. Because as we have discussed time and time again on the show, we like Josh Heupel for the most part, but we think he's a bit too nice at times.
Yeah, honestly, I'm in love with that Will Muschamp idea. I didn't even think of him, but man, just thinking about all the memes. I mean, Tennessee's already dominates social media as it is. But for Tennessee fans to get to celebrate Muschamp Monday every single week, that would be electric. And I would love for you talk about the disciplinary aspect of it. That's exactly what Tennessee needs. Like, as we've talked about a lot. I mean, it would be awesome to have someone like him in there, especially if Tennessee's defense ended up being like top 10 in the country. Not saying that'd be the case, but if they ended up doing that, and just knowing that Tennessee did that with a former Florida head coach and bringing him back to promise, that'd be a pretty cool story to see. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed against it. Jeremy Pruitt, though, I feel like there's too much optically that could be problems there with all the McDonald's bags and all of that crap. Like, I don't know, even if he is still a great defensive coordinator, I don't know if Tennessee can bring him back.
Well, there is another program just up the road from Knoxville that fired its coach and instantly rehired it to be its defensive coordinator. That would be none other than the Virginia Tech Hokies firing Brent Pry and then rehiring him to be the defensive coordinator for James Franklin. But a part of that is because they worked together at Penn State. I don't know if Jeremy Pruitt and Josh Heupel would get along well.
Especially because he took his job too. I mean, Josh, he's going to have to look at this man every day and know that this is the dude that took his team.
Well, technically the same can be said for Brent Pry and James Franklin. But and then I did see earlier this week where Zach Arnett got hired by Jeff Lebby to be the defensive coordinator after being fired from the head coaching job at Mississippi State, which is kind of funny. But I don't envision that happening with Pruitt. But I think Pruitt would be a solid defensive coordinator option down the road. I know he's returned to Jacksonville State as an analyst. So, I think he could get another shot here soon. It's just there's too much baggage there. But there's some other names being floated around that I think we should at the very least mention. Ryan Walters, though, certainly the one that has the most smoke to it at this point. Colin Hitchler, the defensive coordinator for James Madison this year, co-defensive coordinator for Alabama a season ago. Missouri's defensive coordinator, Corey Batoon, is another one I've seen floated around. Nick Benedetto, the current defensive coordinator out at Fresno State. Doug Belk, USC's defensive backs coach. Chris O'Leary, the defensive coordinator for Western Michigan. He's got NFL experience as well. Some more notable names, guys that you guys may be familiar with, one of which is Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinators for Ohio State a season ago. I waver a little bit on that one just because that's a guy who lived a lot off of the talent that he had at Ohio State and then went to Penn State, and then they crapped out there at Penn State. It did not work with him and James Franklin. So they ended up parting ways with all those guys. And I don't think he would be the guy to go after at this point. Now, if you're looking for VFL ties, Gerard Mayo is available. I don't think he's very high on the hot boards, but he is available at the moment if you would like him. Mark Stoops and Justin Wilcox are some other ones that I have out there just because they're available now. I don't actually see Tennessee hiring either one of those guys, but they are proven defensive coordinators, one of which was proven at Tennessee with Wilcox. And oddly, he had that Washington defensive coordinator job before he took the Cal head coaching job. So, proven names out there as well with those guys. Just a few others here to round out the list. Travaris Robinson, he is Glenn Schumann's co-defensive coordinator down there at Georgia. You've got Chris Hampton, the co-defensive coordinator from Oregon, although I think he is the current defensive coordinator now that Tosh Lupoi is the head coach at Cal. I don't know if they're letting Lupoi coach out the season or not. You've got Clayton White at South Carolina. That's been their one redeeming quality at South Carolina is their defense, and I guess the special teams. But They're dreadful offensively, but Clayton White's done a nice job down there at South Carolina. And then final two here, Jay Bateman of Texas A&M and Tony White at Florida State. Both of those are current sitting defensive coordinators. So that's all the names I have at the moment. But I would say the one to pay the most attention to at this point has to be Ryan Walters, because another thing that I didn't mention earlier, Jordan, now that we're getting back to Ryan Walters here, he and Heupel worked together at Mizzou when Heupel was the OC over at Mizzou. So there is the connections thing. Josh Heupel does like to hire his friends, as we know. But I think this is a guy that has proven himself in different places like Illinois and Washington that both of them had newer staffs in place, with Bielema going to Illinois and then Jed Fish going to Washington. So proving yourself on a new staff, I think, is always helpful. And maybe that's something he can do this time around, and inheriting what is a talented but a roster that is in need of some direction from a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that Tennessee can get like a defensive coordinator that's already been a defensive coordinator before. And if not, if it's going to be a position coach, then I hope it's from like the Kirby Smart coaching tree, or like one of Brent Venables' guys, something like that. I don't know if I mean, because didn't you say one of the guys on there was a defensive backs coach at USC? Like, I don't know how excited I would be about a hire like that. I mean, if he's a great coach, he's a great coach. That would be awesome. I mean, anyone that can come in here and bring Tennessee's defense to at least like top 30 at this point, which would be pretty nice to have. But I'm just hoping for somebody proven. I don't want like any projects at defensive coordinator, and I don't think Tennessee should look for that either, considering that they need a lot. They have a lot of great recruits coming in the past or in the next couple of years, and they're going to need to do something with them.
Yeah, you need all the help you can get in that department, because you can be a very talented roster, but you can still manage to go 7-5 or 8-4 with that talented roster. See Texas A&M pretty much every year under Jimbo Fisher. Highly talented rosters, particularly on the defensive end, but not able to do what they needed in order to succeed at a high level and compete for those conference championships. But that is what we've got on the defensive coordinator hunt for Tennessee right now. We will let you know if anything official happens. It could happen after we get off air here tonight. We will see. But that is a search that we will continue to monitor throughout the week. Okay, so that's Tim Banks. Moving on to more exciting stuff. I guess it's more exciting. It is more exciting because it is the future, and it's a fun part of the future. And that is National Signing Day, which was on Wednesday of last week. It's a big day for Tennessee. I guess really it began on Tuesday, but you had 5 different guys commit to the program. Technically 4, because one just recommitted. But let's start here going chronologically. On Tuesday, you got a commitment from 3-star defensive lineman Naquavion Simmons. Jordan, what are your initial thoughts on Naquavion Simmons joining the Vols in 2026?
Well, I wasn't really that much familiar with him going into it, but I mean, he has a pretty good size there. From what I've heard, like he's listed as a 3-star, but he could have potential to be better than that. I mean, you look at some of the schools that he has offers with. I mean, Mississippi State, he's got some SEC offers on here. I mean, I think he could be a good player for Tennessee potentially. I'm a little bit more excited about some of the other recruits, but I mean, Tennessee needed depth at the defensive line position, especially the interior defensive line, and that's exactly what they got with this. I'm not sure how much playing time that Simmons is going to get in 2026, but Tennessee needs anyone they can take for the defensive line, and I think that's why they went as heavy as they did in this class. Yeah,
so the reason you haven't heard of him as much, I believe, is because he just hasn't been playing organized football for that long. I think it was Austin Price of VolQuest that said he had been playing 8-man football up until a few years ago. So, of course, he's not going to be recruited quite as highly. I don't know why he would have been only playing 8-man football, but project is usually the word you like to use when you see a 3-star player, and I'm not saying he isn't a project, but I think the upside is there more so with some of these 3 stars. He's just one of those late blooming prospects that's just now getting into it. But he is from Columbus, Georgia, plays at Carver High School down there. Got to watch some of his highlight reel, at least a little bit that I could find. He's got some good closing speed. He can move for a big man. There was a play where a quarterback had rolled left outside of the pocket, and then he just starts charging at him and he deflects a pass. So I like that a lot about him. Like that he's got some speed and athleticism to him, kind of like another Simmons that played defensive line here at Tennessee. Big fella in the interior. Another thing, Jordan, that is interesting and something that we should note about N'Quavion Simmons, his older cousin is former Georgia and Steelers linebacker Jarvis Jones, who I think we all know a thing or two about, having watched SEC football in the last 15 years. He was one of those great players on that Georgia defense back at the end of the Mark Richt era. And interestingly enough, do you know who on Tennessee staff was on Georgia staff that year? On this current Tennessee staff.
When Jarvis Jones was there?
Yeah.
Was it Rodney Gardner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we know that Rodney Garner has an eye for talent and some family connections there with Jarvis Jones playing on the same team that Rodney Garner coached back in 2012. And Rodney Garner, too, he's made comparisons to different guys that he's coached both at Georgia and Auburn when describing guys in press conferences. I forget who it was a few years ago, but he compared – oh, man, he's used a few different defensive linemen in these. I mean, he talked about introducing one of his guys to Richard Seymour, who he coached at Georgia. Mentioned something about it's slipping on me. It's either Geno Atkins or John Jenkins that he mentioned in a press conference once upon a time. But, this guy's coached a lot of very good people. He would not have coached Jarvis Jones seeing that Jarvis Jones was a linebacker, but he knows the family pedigree a little bit, sees his younger cousin play and thinks, yeah, this is a guy that can fit into my defense. And we're going to trust Rodney Garner. We're going to continue to trust him as long as he is the defensive line coach here at Tennessee. He's the best recruiter on this staff, most proven recruiter. And this may be a diamond in the rough for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, whoever Gardner's going to get, you got to trust that he's going to get a good guy. I mean, all the talent that he's already coached and been proven. I think he's been in the SEC alone for 35 years or something like that coaching. And I'm pretty sure he was on Tennessee's staff during the national championship team as well. So you're talking about a guy that just knows talent, and especially being in the SEC as long as he has, that he knows to get the right guys. So, I mean, 3-star or not, I mean, I will take his word for whoever he thinks is going to be a good player. And I think more often than not, he's going to get it right.
So that is signing day eve. And that was obviously a nice pickup for Tennessee right before the main festivities began. But Wednesday was a pretty big day for Tennessee in terms of landing commitments in this class. The first commitment on Wednesday was Carter Gooden, 4-star defensive end out of Massachusetts, originally from Canada. Jordan, your initial thoughts on Carter Gooden?
I really love this pickup. I liked what I saw from his highlights. I mean, he can go pass rush the quarterback very well, but he also can wait at the line and wait for the running back to come there too. I thought that he had good speed and his size, man. I mean, he's not ginormous on paper. I mean, he's 6'4", 260, but I mean, his muscle mass, I mean, he is a ginormous, strong dude. I think that he's got potential to be a pretty good player at Tennessee. I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah, watching him, I like that you brought up the run stuffing ability, because I think that's what popped to me the most when watching his tape. Obviously, you think of these defensive ends, you think of pass rushing, James Pierce. You got another one of those guys kind of like Pierce in Hezekiah Harris in this class, who's a little bit of a taller, lankier defensive end. That's not the case with Carter Gooden. He's a little bit more built, but he can cut through the inside of an offensive line to try and make plays, which I really like about him. There's also, I want to say it was Carter Gooden at least. There were a few field goal blocks in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think he had 4 last year.
Yeah, that's a nice bonus if you can get them with a guy like that. So I like this get for Tennessee. I guess the only thing that I'm wondering a little bit is, what was it? Oh yeah, he's playing in Massachusetts. I don't know what the high school football talent is like up there. I can't imagine it is as good as it is down here in the South. But one thing that I do know with Massachusetts in relation to Tennessee football is there's like 5 players ever before Carter Gooden that have come from Massachusetts to play from Tennessee. And guess what? They're all from like the 40s and 50s. So I hope Carter Gooden can be the guy that changes the trajectory of Massachusetts football recruiting for Tennessee, if that is indeed a thing. But no, not a state that Tennessee taps into very often.
Yeah, I mean, Massachusetts, that's a good point. I don't know too many football players in general, let alone like from Tennessee that have came out of Massachusetts, but maybe I'm overlooking some people. But I don't know. I like what I see on his tape. I'm excited to see him. I think he's really good at making angles to get to the ball carrier. He seems to be a pretty observant player out there that just seems to know where the ball is going at any given time. But I mean, I like him, and I think I read somewhere, unless I'm confusing him with another recruit, I'm pretty sure he played lacrosse and hockey in high school too, which is an interesting combination that you don't typically see, especially from an edge rusher.
That sounds about right. I mean, not making assumptions here, but in Canada, they do love their hockey. And even up north, like they played a little bit more than we do down here. It looks funny to us Southerners, but yeah, he must be big into the stick sports as well. And they're, you got to be pretty tough to play those as well. You got to have some really good hand-eye coordination to play hockey. I don't know how those guys do it. I mean, I watch it; it's impressive. I don't understand it honestly, but like you look at it, those dudes are skating on ice, which for one, I can hardly skate for crap anyway. Like roller skating, I am terrible at it.
Me too.
And then you just see the puck flying up in the air, and they're like trying to catch it midair. And then the other thing that makes no sense to me, and if he's a hockey player, I wonder what position he plays. Because if he played goalie, like those people, like their legs, they cannot be anything but just mush by the time they're the age of 40. Like, how do you walk when you just have your legs spread out like that on the ground, on the ice, the entire game? Like, I don't get how that works, but no, it's a hard sport to play, and lacrosse to some extent is as well. So, no, you like a guy that plays multiple sports. I don't really like it when coaches try to restrict people from playing other sports, because I think that those skills can translate from one to the other. Like David Hobbs, for example, big basketball player in high school. Those skills are translating a little bit to the football field. We like that.
Oh yeah, and wasn't it Amari Thomas that had that video of him dunking, or it was one former Tennessee D tackle?
Elijah Simmons.
It was Elijah Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, man, I don't know how you can be able to dunk being that big, but I mean, you like seeing high schoolers that playing multiple sports, and in Gooden's case too. I mean, these are all physical sports too. It's not like he was just doing track or like playing basketball. I mean, all those sports that I mentioned are ones where you're hitting people. So he must like going out there and just messing people up, which is something that I'd love to see from a defensive lineman. So hopefully he can carry that energy he had from the other sports over into football and give some fun highlights for Tennessee fans.
Elijah Simmons also has the singing voice of an angel. One of the best singing voices I can remember on a Tennessee football team in the last however many years. But anyway, more pickups on signing day for Tennessee. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this one, like breaking down highlights, because we've done it ad nauseum already, because he was committed to Tennessee at one point. He flipped to Ohio State, then flipped back to Tennessee. We are, of course, talking about Legend Bay. If you have not already watched his highlight reel, go do that. You will not regret it. but there are some concerns about Legend Bay, particularly the family dynamic. And it's actually the opposite of a Mama Boo 6 and Big Nick situation where the family hates the fact that he's going to Tennessee. They want him to go to Tennessee, but Legend does not want to go to Tennessee, evidently, because the I'm not going to call it a rumor because there does appear to be a little bit more substance to it than the average rumor, but the rumblings are that Legend's mom signed his NLI because he is not 18 until December 25th, which is kind of messed up if true. But I mean, in this case, I hope Legend goes where he's happy. Because if it turns into a situation that you had with Boo Carter where he's clearly not giving his 100% because he don't want to be there, then by all means, just let him go play somewhere else, mom. Like, don't do that. Like he needs to have his best interest in mind. If he wants to go to Ohio State, he can go to Ohio State. If he is in fact happy to be at Tennessee, then we will by all means take him because, like I said, one of the greatest highlight reels I have ever seen from a future college football player.
Yeah, I'm so torn with this one because Legend Bay was arguably the recruit that I was most excited for. I mean, when Tennessee got him, I was through the roof, ecstatic because I mean, I feel like anyone that watches his tape knows that. I mean, he's 5-star talent. I mean, they have him at 4-star, but he's certainly not. I mean, he can play almost any position on the field, whether or not it's receiver. I've heard rumblings of him potentially playing running back at the next level. He was the team's starting quarterback, and you might just think, oh, he was just probably just an athletic freak. They put him back there just so he could run the ball and win. No, he could actually sit back there and drop some deep balls. And I saw several of those in his highlight tapes. A phenomenal player. I mean, he seems like he's going to excel wherever he's going to be at, but I'm in agreement with you, Tucker, that, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like he needs to play where he wants to play. And I feel like at this point, after seeing everything with Boo Carter, with Nico and everything like that, you don't want a guy on the team that's not going to want to give his all for Tennessee, a guy that's not like proud to wear orange. And I'm not trying to like come off like I'm being critical of him at all, because I support whatever decision Legend Bay has. I think it's an unfortunate situation that if the rumors are true and his mother signed his letter of intent, I mean, I think that's kind of messed up. And all credit to him if he decides to flip to Ohio State. But selfishly, I hope that he doesn't, although I think he should do whatever's best for him. But man, seeing him in the Tennessee uniform would be electric. And I'm just thinking about all the trick plays Tennessee could do. The screen game could finally start working if Legend Bay is on the field. I mean, I just think there's so many problems that he could fix for Tennessee. So hopefully there's not any truth to these rumors, but it sure sounds like it based on deleted tweets and alleged TikTok comments and everything. It's not looking like he's going to be a volunteer.
Yeah. And again, we are not harboring any resentment toward him if he flips back to Ohio State, if that is the reason. Because I hope he does what's best for him. Again, man, these kids, they have too many people in their ears that are just, they're filling them with bad thoughts. They like Boo Carter in particular is an example of this potentially happening. So, and then Nico too. So, hate it for him if that's true, but we will take him if it is not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Two more commitments from Wednesday. You got one from Jordan Carter, the defensive end out of Douglas County High School in Georgia. That is Atlanta area. Tennessee had this one circled for a little bit after he decommitted from Texas A&M back on November 1st and was recruiting him pretty hard alongside Auburn and Georgia Tech. Looked like Georgia Tech had gained some momentum there, but Carter ultimately commits to Tennessee. Jordan, what are your thoughts on Jordan Carter?
Well, I haven't gotten a chance to watch his highlights entirely, but I mean, 4-star defensive end. I mean, like, you got to love that. I mean, Tennessee's seemingly getting a lot of defensive linemen in this class, and I think with good reason, because that's been a position of need this season due to all the injuries and everything like that. I mean, and he's recruited from Alabama, Texas A&M, Auburn. I mean, you're talking about big schools here, and I'm watching a play of him right now, just chasing the quarterback left and right. Dude's trying to zigzag every way, and he can't get away from him. I mean, he's got good size. I mean, let's see here. Did he play any other sports? I'm not seeing right here, but he got 18 sacks as a senior. I mean, if he can replicate some of this stuff at Tennessee, I think that he could be pretty good. But Tennessee does have a few edge rushers that'll be ahead of him for a couple seasons, more likely with Jordan Ross and Caleb Herring and stuff. You would imagine that they are going to be the starters next season. But I like his potential, and I think that he could be a good player for Tennessee.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I liked about that reel. I think I watched his junior year reel, so again, there's still a little bit more to watch, and I guess one more year of reels that I have not watched just yet to really watch him perfect his craft in high school. But the things that I liked is that he showed a little bit of everything, honestly, because at first it was a lot of pass rush, and I was like, okay. Another one of these guys who can rush the passer, but once the ball gets handed off, he's just toast on the play. That's not the case with him. This is a guy that can not only cut inside and stuff the run like with what we saw with Carter Gooden, but a guy that when the run gets outside of him, he doesn't give up on the play, and not giving up on plays is huge on defense. So do like a guy that showcases some run pursuit. With Jordan Carter. And like I mentioned with Carter Gooden, he's got the block kick bonuses as well. So does a little bit of everything for this team on defense. And another thing, they use him as a fullback on goal line packages. Maybe he and Carson Gentle can get in a little heavy rotation with Nathan Robinson when Tennessee is trying to run the ball in short yardage situations. So lots of things to like about Jordan Carter. Shows you a little bit of everything on his highlight reel.
Yeah, and I would love it if he ended up having some of those special packages at Tennessee, because one of my favorite years, I forget which one it was, maybe it was 2012. I mean, Tennessee was bad during those times, but getting to see AJ the Beast Johnson score all those touchdowns, because he led the team in rushing touchdowns that year, which I don't know how many people remember that or not, but it's pretty insane when you're starting middle linebackers leading the team in rushing touchdowns. But it also shows how bad Tennessee was during that time.
Unfortunately, they didn't hand them the ball in any of those highlights. They didn't hand Jordan Carter the ball in any of those highlights. So they may not do that, but it would be fun if they did. It would be fun if they did to try and mix it up. But that was commitment number 3 on Wednesday. Commitment number 4 would be Jeremy Finch, JJ Finch, as he is more commonly known. His dad was on that 2008 Florida Gators team with the 41 people arrested. Jeremy Finch Sr.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know that until somebody tweeted it. I think it was Andy Staples who tweeted it and was like, goodness gracious, we are all so old. Because that's one of my earliest college football memories. So kind of crazy how that works. But Jordan, you have any initial thoughts on JJ Finch, the borderline 4-star defensive lineman out of Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot, like his size. I mean, he's listed at 260, but he doesn't look 260. It's like a weird situation, because some pictures of him, he looks kind of lanky, but I mean, you wouldn't think that being 260 pounds. I mean, I like from what I see from him. I mean, he seems to be pretty quick. He seems like he can make some hard hits on there, and that's especially good if you're weighing 260. I mean, I wonder what he'll end up being when it's all said and done in Tennessee. But I mean, he seems to have pretty good athleticism. You can line him up as an interior defensive lineman, have him out there on the edge. I mean, he seems like a pretty good athletic defensive lineman. And once again, I mean, another thing that Tennessee needs for this roster. So I'm liking that Tennessee went so heavy on the defensive line in this recruiting class.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the things I saw in his highlight reel too. As you can imagine, they put him in the interior of that defensive line a lot as a defensive lineman, but he likes the swim move as a first step, and that's something that that he's putting out there a lot. And he looks kind of skinny out there on the defensive line going against those guys in Indianapolis, which I don't know. Maybe that's just me looking at it as a guy that just hadn't put on a ton of weight just yet, and he's going to have to do that when he gets to college. But he looks pretty quick in there, kind of fleet on his feet for an interior defensive lineman. So glad that Tennessee could get a guy like that. A couple other things I noticed. He's a pretty violent finisher when he gets to the running back. And I like that. Brings a little bit of an attitude to the defense. Lots and lots and lots of tip passes in that highlight reel. Pretty much everywhere on the field. I think there was one where he tipped one on the goal line and then picked it off in the end zone, ran back and caught it right around two of his guys. So, yeah, he can get those hands up and deflect the passes, which is something that could help Tennessee out a lot on that defensive line. But I don't know why this guy is rated, only borderline a 4-star. I think he's a 3-star on a couple different sites, like maybe 247 said he was a 3-star. Maybe that's just because he's a little small at this point. But overall, man, I really liked what I saw from him, just the explosiveness he had. And again, it's Indiana. The football talent there is okay, I guess, in Indianapolis, but it's not phenomenal. So maybe that's part of it, just one of those relatively undiscovered kids. But no, I really like what J.J. Finch brings to the table.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think he's got potential to be a good player at Tennessee, and especially if he does put on that mass. But man, he's such a weird 260, because when you see 6'3", 260, I mean, that's like the same size that Brandon Jacobs was when he was playing for the Giants. That Brandon Jacobs looks way bigger than JJ Finch. So he must have some heavy bones or something. But maybe that means he can put on like 30, 40 pounds and it won't harm his speed or anything. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, man, if he can bulk up, if he can keep that same speed at like 290, I think he can be a pretty good player for Tennessee.
So Tennessee did not get through the day completely unscathed on signing day, unfortunately. Salisi Moa was the lone decommitment from Tennessee in this class. He was a 4 borderline 5-star in the class of 2026, playing receiver and defensive back up there in Utah. He flipped his commitment to Utah. His dad played football at Utah, so he's a legacy, which helps out a lot. From what I understand, too, Utah was throwing a lot of money at him. And I think we're at a point where this staff has learned that with 2 different players that we've talked about in this show early on, you shouldn't get into bidding wars over these high school recruits that are unproven. Now, whether or not Moa was asking for more money from Tennessee, we don't know. But it just sounds like Utah shuffled a lot at him and kind of made him an offer he couldn't refuse. That kind of sounds like what happened.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation because he was one of those recruits I was really excited for alongside Legend Bay. And, like Moa decommitting, it wasn't the worst thing in the world seeing that news at first. I mean, knowing that Tennessee got Legend Bay, but now with the potential of Bay going to Ohio State seeming to be the case, I don't know. I'm disappointed losing out on Moa because, I mean, I think like Legend Bay, I mean, he could have potentially played a couple different positions at Tennessee, but I agree with Tennessee's decision. If it was a money thing, I don't think Tennessee should get in a bidding war with Utah. Because like you said, I mean, coming out of high school, you don't even know if they're going to be good to begin with. I mean, how many 5-stars have we seen like to just fizzle out and weren't even good enough to be like 2 stars in the grand scheme of things? So you never know how a high school athlete's going to turn out. But I think the upside with Moa is pretty strong. I mean, I think he can be an effective receiver. I think he could be a defensive back, whichever way they want to go about him, or he could potentially play both ways. But I mean, I liked him a lot, and it's disappointing that Tennessee didn't get to retain him.
Yeah, good comment here from Andre Sutton. Spend big money on safety. You absolutely have to do that, especially if you're looking at free safety depth with Turrentine being gone next season. You don't have hardly anything, at least scholarship, behind him. I want to say like the second man. I forget who the second man is behind him. The third man is Jackson Matthews, who is walk-on. I actually know his family. In fact, his dad may be watching this. So love you, Tate, but we do need to bulk up in the portal a little bit. on at safety and then at defensive tackle as well. You got to get more guys there. Another question from Andre Sutton here: what linebacker does Tennessee have that can replace Thielander? There's going to be a few of them because you got Perlotti in this class, in this 25 class. You got Spillman, and you're going to have Carter potentially back next season as well if he does not go to the draft. And then, as we've been mentioning, TJ White and Braden Rouse are coveted recruits coming in. I think we're in agreement at this point that if you are going to go out and recruit big name linebackers, you might as well play them over the guys that are, like 3 stars and in some cases walk-ons that have been here 3 or 4 years just because you like what they have to offer on the field more than those guys.
Yeah, no hate to Thielander or anything, but I think Tennessee's in good hands with their linebacker core. I think Perlotti stepped up his game big time towards the end of the year. And, Spillman's been playing throughout. I mean, getting a lot of reps as a starter. And that's saying a lot being a freshman in the SEC and getting that much playing time at such a big and physical position, like being a linebacker too. So, I mean, and then, yeah, like Tucker mentioned the recruits on there, like Rouse. I think Rouse has got potential to be pretty good. And then TJ White. I mean, I don't think losing Thielander outside of being a leader or firing up the team, like that might be the biggest thing Tennessee loses with him.
Yeah.
But I think that the guys that are going to come in after him are probably going to be better.
Yeah, I have that feeling too because we've talked about it several shows now, but the slow linebacker play at Tennessee, it's getting old, man. It's one of the many things, along with defensive coordinators, that I felt like got into the way of Tennessee's success on that side of the ball. But and then he also mentioned Eric Berry for defensive backs coach. He might be good at it. I don't know. If a new defensive coordinator came in and they got free rein of the staff, I don't know if they would bring back Willie Martinez. We'll just say that much. Even though I think Willie was thrown into a little bit of a tough situation with those corners being down, and we know Banks coaches the safeties, so that wasn't really a Martinez problem if he is the one coaching the corners and not the safeties. But that's all we got on signing day. Very eventful day for Tennessee, rounding out this class, finishing strong in the 2026 recruiting cycle. Okay, one more thing to end the show that we got to talk about is the Music City Bowl. Tennessee is going back to the Music City Bowl for the 4th time in 15 years. Jordan, I need to gauge your excitement here. 0 to 100. How excited are you for the Music City Bowl?
Ooh, such a wide range. If I was to go to the game, then I would say 75 out of 100. I'm probably not going to the game, so with that being the case, I would say probably 62 out of 100. I think the most exciting aspect of this game is that Tennessee's never played against Illinois, and I always like seeing new opponents, so that'd be cool. Plus, I got family from the Illinois area, so they might be chirping a little bit, so that could make it interesting. But besides that, I mean, Music City Bowl, I mean, it seems like Tennessee goes there more than anywhere else, so it would be nice to see a new bowl, but that's not what Tennessee's getting. What about you?
Yeah.
I feel like I know your answer.
Oh dear. I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 100. It's low,
wow.
man. It's low. It is so low. Because here's the thing. I've been to 4 of these, one of which was not for Tennessee. And I got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, aside from the last time I went to one, it is cold as hell out there. It won't be the case in 2 years when they have a dome in 2027 and that new stadium's open. In fact, if Tennessee goes back to the Music City Bowl like 10 years later and I haven't been to that stadium, then I might want to go. I know how it ends. I know how it ends for Tennessee in the Music City Bowl. This fan base in the Music City Bowl is like the meme of the little girl running away from the orangutan on a tricycle. That is what this fan base in the Music City Bowl's relationship is like. It's like if Tennessee does just mildly underperforms, Music City Bowl. And I'll say that the previous 3 times that I went to see Tennessee play in the Music City Bowl, I felt like there were at least good reasons for it. The first time I went, it was for the North Carolina game, which was an abysmal game. We won't reopen those old wounds, but um, I'd never been to a bowl game before at that point in my life. It was going to be something cool to see, so I was glad to go back then. Nebraska in 2016, yeah, the season was disappointing, but I think the big reason why I felt like that was a cool experience was because it was a send off. It's also where you had your 2 seconds of fame, Jordan.
Yeah.
Can't forget about that. And then you look back at the 2021 Music City Bowl against Purdue. This is the beginning of the Josh Heupel era. You're glad to go back to the bowl game for the first time in 2 seasons after what had been a debacle of an offseason after Jeremy Pruitt had been fired. And at that point in time, you're still optimistic about what the Heupel era has in store. You're still building up at that point. Not to say that Josh Heupel can't turn this thing around. We know he's taking steps to try and do that with this decision regarding Tim Banks, but I'm at the point where I'm tired of it now. It's like this, like there's really only a handful of options for Tennessee in this, bowl selection thing. It's like Citrus Bowl, Outback Bowl, Gator Bowl, and Music City Bowl are pretty much the 4. Like Liberty is a tier below those, and they haven't sent Tennessee to the Liberty Bowl in who knows how long. I know the last time Tennessee was supposed to go there, they had COVID with Jeremy Pruitt. They opted out of it against West Virginia for that very reason, and then the investigation started. But and then they just don't send you to the Texas Bowl. So obviously they weren't going to go to the Citrus Bowl because A, they had gone there 2 years ago, and B, they just weren't as good as Texas. Same thing with Vandy going to the Outback Bowl, or ReliaQuest Bowl is what they call it now. And the Gator Bowl is down in Jacksonville. So there's really just not many options. It doesn't feel like for Tennessee, and that's like considered one of the 3 or 4 best options is the Music City Bowl, which kind of stinks. I have to be careful here, but have you ever met someone from like rural Tennessee, Jordan, and they hate Dollar General because they just know the Dollar Generals are anywhere and everywhere within like a 10-mile radius of them, because it's just one of those things that they have out in the country in Tennessee. Just no matter where you go in Tennessee, there will be
that and one gas station, and that's it.
Within a 10 or 15-mile radius. All right. How I feel about the Music City Bowl is similar to how those people feel about Dollar Generals. Obviously, I'm a Tennessee guy, but I grew up with this thing in my town. It's not like it's some attractive destination for me. Like, and I'm not to crap on Dollar General. Like they're very convenient when you're out in the country and you don't live out there, and you need something very desperately. But if you talk to people who live out in the middle of nowhere, and you mentioned Dollar General and how convenient it was like, oh, I hate Dollar General. That's me with the Music City Bowl. I can't stand it. And honestly, I don't think I'm going to go this year because I've been to too many of them at this point in my life. I'm sick of them. And not only that, and this is where my 2 fandoms intersect a little bit here with the Titans and the Vols. All right. I have been to 3 Titans games in my life, and the Titans experience, it's not completely recreated at the Music City Bowl, but there are like certain elements of it that they try and incorporate, like the crappy fan experience part of it. And that's a big part of the problem for me with the Music City Bowl, like the draw of it. It's just not it's not fun. It's not a fun fan experience. Like going to the Titans games, all it is at halftime is some no-name country artist playing in some balcony at the top of the stadium. The only one that was kind of cool was when they brought Mike Keith down to the field at halftime and inducted Billy White Shoes Johnson into the Titans Ring of Honor. That I've only been to 3 Titans games, keep in mind, but their fan experience is awful. It's not that bad for the Music City Bowl. Like they at least let the bands play at halftime, which is nice. But and then the venue is not good. Like they would not be building a new stadium if they didn't at least have some working knowledge that the venue was not very good. So, as you could probably tell, I'm not looking forward to the Music City Bowl for that reason. I'll happily watch it from my couch. I have no problem watching it from my couch. I'm not going to the game. I'm sick of it.
Well, I'll say this, at least Tennessee's playing in the bowl game and not opting out like teams like Notre Dame. So I'm glad that Tennessee's actually going to be playing in a bowl game. So that's a good thing. I like that Dollar General analogy because I feel like that's pretty spot on with the Music City Bowl. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired of it too. But I will say the Music City Bowl's got a little bit of a special place in me because one, I had my 2 seconds of fame with Derek Barnett's sack record, but also two, if you are like a young fan or just, some guy that likes collecting stuff, there's a good chance that you could meet some of the players after the game. Cause I went to the Bowling Green game, I think in 2015, and I waited out there. I got to meet Josh Dobbs, Jawan Jennings, Derek Barnett, and I had a full length conversation with Alvin Kamara. You just gotta find where the tables are set up at. You'll see some food out there. Wait there, patiently wait there. Eventually, Tennessee will walk through. There's your opportunity, especially if you see the team buses and you got them. But that's one thing. I mean, it's close to home, but like you mentioned, like the Gator Bowl and like the Citrus Bowl and all that. Those are bowl games that people actually want to go to. Those are historic bowl games that at least have some kind of meaning. I don't think the same way with the Music City Bowl. I don't think it's in the same conversation as the Citrus or Gator or the formerly known as the Outback Bowl. I don't think it's anywhere remotely close. I mean, my first introduction to the Music City Bowl was the one that you went to against North Carolina. And I remember Tennessee had to claw and fight to even become bowl eligible that season to go to that game. And I think Tennessee right now is much better than that 6-6 team that they were back in like 2010 or whatever it was. So I don't know. And it is obviously a financial thing too. I mean, if Tennessee isn't good enough to play in some of these bigger bowl games, then they're always going to be shoehorned into the Music City Bowl because they know that it'll sell out, because they know that there's a huge market in Nashville, people that can't always afford to go to the games or go travel all the way to Knoxville and go pay those talent fees. So they come to the Music City Bowl to watch their team play, and that might be the only game they see the whole season. So I get it, but it would be nice to see Tennessee have a little bit more variety in their bowl games.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point about that, and it's something we mentioned with Ryan Sylvia on the show last week, or something he mentioned to us, and it makes sense because while people like me, and a big part of the problem is like my family has season tickets, and we're living here in Nashville, and you're like going to and from Knoxville, and you're watching mediocre football, and it just wears on you after a little while. You don't really want to do it after some time, so. You just don't even bother showing up to the bowl game. But here's the thing. Not everybody is fortunate enough to have season tickets just because the wait list is the way it is. And, it's really expensive. It is stupidly expensive to have to go to a Tennessee football game for the average family. And you look at all the people in West Tennessee, even in East Tennessee to some extent, Middle Tennessee certainly, who are looking at that, and it's like, this is, in comparison, a cheap ticket compared to a game in Neyland Stadium. So you're going to get a lot of people there regardless, just because that it's just hard to get into those games in Neyland Stadium now, and you would hope that would be the case for Tennessee going to this game. You'll have people there, and I just think for everybody involved too, like, you don't have to go super far. It's 3 hours, 2.5 hours, as opposed to a flight to Florida, pretty much. Although I did, if anything, I wish they would have gone to Tampa this year.
Yes.
Just because I hate the Citrus Bowl. I'm on record saying I don't like it for a number of different reasons. It's not a great venue anyway, and I don't think Tennessee would have been sent there. The Gator Bowl I thought was not bad. I thought it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think Jacksonville was a phenomenal town, but I thought it would be a lot worse than what it was. But Tampa is like actually a pretty cool city, and I would have liked to have gone down there, but no, that is not the case. Vanderbilt gets Iowa this time around, not Tennessee. Even though I have full faith Tennessee would probably beat Iowa, just because Iowa's offense is still lethargic. From what I've seen, Tennessee is a favorite in this game, like by 7.5 points. Again, they are going against Brett Bielema. It did not end well the last time Tennessee played a Brett Bielema team. That was in 2015 with Butch Jones on the job. Vols lost 24-20 in Neyland Stadium. That was the game where Evan Berry returned the kickoff right out of the gate, and then they just ran all over Tennessee. It was Alex Collins, rest in peace, and Raleigh Williams that night that they just kept handing it to. I remember it was kind of a rainy day leading up to that, and Tennessee. That was the only game that year that I felt like Tennessee just got physically abused in. And I think a lot of that is still true with Illinois. I know Luke Altmaier is a solid quarterback, but it is very much your Big Ten ground and pound style of football that they play up there at Illinois.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that could fare well for Tennessee. I mean, putting up as much points as Tennessee does. I mean, could be a good matchup for them. But I'll say, like, Tennessee's due for their get back on Brett Bielema, but also if you look at the history of this Music City Bowl with Tennessee in it, you lose in heartbreaking fashion, you win and break a record, then you lose in heartbreaking fashion, and then now Tennessee, if the trends stay true, Tennessee should win and potentially a record could be broken. Maybe Joey Aguilar throws for 500 yards and beats Peyton Manning's passing record. Who knows?
That doesn't bother me. I'm still not, or that doesn't enlighten me to go to the game. I'm not going to sit in 30-degree weather, freeze my butt off for the third out of the 4 Music City Bowls that I've seen this team play in, because the Nebraska one was cold, the North Carolina one was cold, the other one I went to, which was Ole Miss Georgia Tech in 2013, that one was freezing. So it's not, until they build that dome, it is not going to be an enjoyable experience by any means. So we will get more into that matchup later on, because we still got 3 weeks until this thing happens, so it's not like we got to do some in-depth preview here. We'll have that coming up later on, and I'm sure we can arrange something, because we have an Illinois affiliate here on the Voice of College Football Network. We'll be sure and hit them up later on. But that's all I got for tonight, Jordan. Anything else that we're missing? I know we really only had 3 topics that entire show, but they were pretty big ones.
Well, it's not Tennessee related, but I don't know if you saw on Twitter today that the Colts might potentially do one of the funniest things ever and bring Phillip Rivers back. Bring Phillip Rivers back for Super Bowl hopes for the Colts. So I'm interested to see that if it ends up becoming the case, because me being a Colts fan, I'm devastated with how this past couple of games have went, and it'd be interesting just to see something new.
Yeah, give Tannehill a call first before you go to Phillip Rivers. That's my useless 2 cents, but whatever. I think they may be crashing at this point, just because the Texans are getting better. They still got to play the Texans twice.
Still can't beat Jacksonville.
No, they can't beat Jacksonville. So they lucked out in playing the Titans the first 2 times that they had to play an AFC South team. So that schedule is going to get real very fast. But that's all we got tonight, I believe, here on the channel. We appreciate you guys for joining us, as always, on Monday nights. Again, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football. Again, we are live every Monday at 8 Eastern time here on the network. Helps us out a lot if you tune in and if you subscribe. Helps you get close to all the great Tennessee football content that you enjoy. For Jordan Begley, I am Tucker Harlan. We will talk to you guys again next week.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.